So I started using archives in my History of the English Language class about 4 years ago now. What I do in that class is I have students pick some document from the history of English in Alaska, and it can really be anything. It can be a literary text, it could be a letter someone wrote, it could be a recipe. It's really wide open to students. So the archives, I know, have lots of great materials. They focus on South Central Alaska here, but then we have access to archives all over the state. I have students look at those archives from two different perspectives. One is historical, so what's going on that helps us understand why this text exists. The other piece is I have them look at it linguistically. So what can we say about the language that people are using in whatever text it is?
So I was using the archives for a project for History of the English Language, which I took last semester with Dr. Stone. We were doing work on English contact with Alaska Native languages, and I chose to go with a missionary from around 1912 because I wanted to do something in the territorial period. My grandpa is actually Alaska Native. I know, I don't look Alaska Native, but he went to one of the boarding schools up in Anvik. So I wanted somebody who had worked with the Jesse Lee boarding homes in specific. I found a letter from Albert Newhall, and I did a little bit of linguistic and historical work on that, and I put it together into a poster. And then I came across another letter where the children of the area referred to a local man as Bluebeard, and that perked my interest because Bluebeard is from a French fairy tale. And just the fact that the children had already become advanced enough in English to know fairy tales by that point, that's something that I found fascinating.
I had never heard of the archives before, but like hearing about Professor Stone's research, I was pretty excited to do some of my own because I'm very interested in linguistics and being able to look at actual historical artifacts and see broader cultural trends from it. I've done quite a few research projects, but this one was just the most interesting to me. My artifact is a series of about 8 images that were taken after the Battle of Attu in World War II, and what initially drew me to it was the fact that the photo captions on half of the set spoke very differently about the dead than the other part of the set. For me, being able to access the archives and look at this period of history in a different way and learning about the Aleutian campaign and everything that went along with it, it's just I would have never had the opportunity to do that otherwise.
The archives give us a much broader range of human experience, and they're not necessarily famous people and they're not necessarily well known. It gives opportunities for looking at a broader subset of Alaska culture than we would have access to if we only focused on published books.
But I think I have a very positive view of the archives just because they're saving a lot of really important historical artifacts in addition to providing education about them.
So one of the big strengths of archives, in my opinion, is that you get to see the stories of a lot of underdocumented individuals in the communities. Because a lot of times the letters and the pictures and the stories that you find in archives aren't things that you're going to find in the history book, and they're not things that you're going to find in old newspapers. And that's what makes them so valuable and so useful.